Central Maine and Quebec Railway's headquarters is in Bangor, but Herman is the location for its closest rail yard.
We have a local switch crew and what we call a road train that runs out of there, and we switch all the customers in the greater Bangor Herman area along with Searsport, and we operate between Searsport and Brownville Junction out of Herman.
Already, the company has made quite the investment, dishing out $44 million for infrastructure improvements on both the U.S. and Quebec properties. Also investing $7 million into the facility in Milo, now calling it the Katahdin Railcar Services.
We had customers who use tank cars. They have asked us to fix these cars, and they had a need for this type of facility, and it didn't exist.
CMQ operates as a freight carrier, primarily hauling forest products, propane, certain refined products, and salt and grain. But they did work with both Amtrak and the Northern New England Passenger Rail Authority over the summer, proposing passenger service on their Rockland branch.
That service was not able to be finalized in time to do trials. We are open to work with state and local officials on the possibility of passenger rail if they deem there's a need and a desire for that.
November of last year, lawmakers also put an end to a bill to set aside $300,000 for a study which would have focused on expanding passenger train service from Brunswick to Bangor. Nathan Moulton, director of Freight and Business Services with the Maine DOT, says a project like this would need ongoing public support.
It's like any public transportation. It's like the roads. It requires public dollars in order to do it.
He says it's much more expensive to run a passenger service because of the safety requirements, generally $1 million per mile of track.
To get people out of their cars, you have to move them quickly. When you start to look at that, you're looking at a much higher rehabilitation. It's much more costly up front.
Northern New England Passenger Rail Authority is currently conducting a study focusing on the Lewiston-Auburn area, a very complex process that looks at several different factors.
Understanding what that propensity is and what service might look like, what the cost would be, and what the requirements are to establish it and to operate it.
Quinn anticipates the study will be complete by the end of this year. From there, she says they'll put together a budget and then it becomes a policy decision. Moulton says in order to run a passenger rail service, it generally takes a fairly dense population for it to become successful.
As you get further and further away from the densely populated areas, or you get a longer stretch between a place like Bangor and Portland, it becomes harder and harder to meet that justification to support the line, because it becomes you're running a lot of miles and for not a lot of population or not a lot of customers at times.
Gina Marini for ABC7 and Fox 22.